Testing 1 2.
Alright. Sup everyone, we'll be starting in a sec. I'm just closing some windows so my thing runs faster. But 28 seconds. Yes. I'm a specific man. Right. All hyped? Yeah. What's that? What's that? Is that the roaring of the crowd? What? Oh my god! Oh, I love your name! Oh my god! That's let's see. I didn't wear my I have like a Steve Jobs style turtleneck that I wear sometimes. I didn't wear it today. We're not going to actually use the whiteboard, but I'm going to use it for dramatic effect. Right. Screen new space. All right. What if I told you that you could control the internet with a programming language? What if I told you you had power over every page on the web? What if I told you you could make yourself click anything and turn every text into a picture of a cat? Welcome to JavaScript on the browser. Whoa, my God, yeah. All right. So what you've been dealing with so far is JavaScript in arguably the most boring context on earth. Ugh, what is this? What does this mean? I go into my terminal. I fire up Node. Let's see where we're at. Fire up Node. It's going to take a second for me. And then I do my good old console log. Hello? Ugh. How about goodbye? Gross. Thank you. Next. What? What? Console log. Aiden, you said console log is newbie, right? I think you used a particular word. I totally agree. Console log makes me just, ugh. 1 + 1. Thank you, JavaScript, as if I didn't know how to do math. What's all this text for? I want to have some interactivity with my computer. Now, today's lecture is all about, let's see, we're going to make a new file here called notes.md. Today's lecture is all about my favorite concept, which is JavaScript in the browser, right? Or particularly what people call client-side JavaScript. OK, we're going to do a really, really quick review. Single question. What is a programming language? And what is it used for? What is it? What's a programming language? Yes?
A set of defined ways of telling the computer to do specific things that we want it to do.
Telling a computer to do specific things. Technically, we can use a programming language to talk to a computer for any purpose, right? Any purpose. It's up to the thing on the other side that's interpreting what we're asking it to do to have the ability to do things, right? So I could use a programming language to talk to a car, right? Maybe you have a car, right? So here's my const car equals new car, right? If only it were that easy. You go new car, Tesla. I got myself a new car. Now, supposing that this Tesla could be talked to using JavaScript, I might be able to do things like car.go forward, right? I might be able to do car.go backwards. Right? I'm not necessarily going to talk about the construct of how this car is built up right now, but supposedly there might be some JavaScript that we can use to talk to this thing. I could make up some commands and just wish they would work. Car.take me home. Right? These would be neat commands that if I had access to some car object, right? If I had access to some car object, I'd be able to do this. Right? Any other examples of things I might be able to do with a car? Yeah, car.crash. Sure. Car.crash, I guess. Car.park. Right? All kinds of things that I might want to be able to do with a car. Maybe I want to read something about a car, like what model is it? Right? Maybe I want to read what model it is, or car.mileage, see what the mileage on the car is. Right? And this all depends on the fact that I need to have some car accessible. Right? I can use JavaScript to do server-side stuff, and that's what you've been doing in the past little while. I can also use JavaScript to talk to literally anything that understands JavaScript. Right? Have any of you ever seen a Raspberry Pi before? Right? So for those who haven't, a Raspberry Pi is a mini little computer. So my computer's super slow. A Raspberry Pi is this tiny little computer. It's about this big. You can get even smaller ones. There's the Raspberry Pi Zero. Yeah, there you go. You can get them to be like teeny, teeny, tiny computers. And you can talk to these computers using programming languages, right? the nice thing about these computers here is that, see all these little holes here? That's where you can plug things in. For example, I might connect a little LED to it, or I might connect a little switch or a button or something like that to it, and a little motor. And then it's up to the computer to talk to those devices. Right? So the computer should be able to talk to maybe the LED, right, through the pin to say turn on or off. Right? A Raspberry Pi gives you options for how you can talk to it. You can talk through using C, you can talk through using Python, or you can talk through using JavaScript. Right? And if I was using JavaScript code, it would look very similar to const LED equals new LED, right? Usually you'd say what pin the LED is plugged in on, so maybe pin 10 or something. And then you'd be able to use all your usual JavaScript to do things like maybe for let I equals 0, while I is less than 10 maybe, I++. I can go through and turn the LED, let me do this one lowercase, turn the LED maybe on, right? And then maybe wait for a minute. There might be like a wait sync for like 1 second. This isn't real code right now, but imagine I could wait synchronously for 1 second, then maybe turn my LED off, and then wait for 1 more second again. And we're not dealing with a server-side situation here, but I'm using the same programming language that you're familiar with at this point to interact with something else. Right? So that's the mindset that I want you to put yourself in right now, is that we can use a programming language to talk with anything that understands that programming language. Right? And the reason we want to do that is because maybe we want to have some custom behavior for that thing. For example, if I bought myself a new Tesla, and if I bought myself a new Tesla and I was able to connect to the Tesla and write some code for it, I might make myself a new function. I might make myself a new function, and I might call this one go to Lighthouse. And go to Lighthouse that sets maybe my car's X trajectory or whatever to a thing, and maybe there might be some code in here that navigates me to Lighthouse Labs. Right? And what I might do later is set up some way of when I say go to Lighthouse out loud, maybe it'll run this function. Right? This is a place where it's up to you to decide what the features of this thing is going to be. Right? So the reason that I like thinking about JavaScript outside of the context of servers is because it really opens us up to the limit is really what are we talking to. So the context that we're working in today, the context that we're working in as web developers is that the thing we can talk to when we're talking about client-side JavaScript is the browser. So any possible interaction that you might want to have with the browser, can you do it with JavaScript? Well, the answer is yes. Can you open up a new tab? Yes. Can you close tabs? Yes. Can you check to see what the battery level on the computer is? Yes. Can you find the IP address? Absolutely. Right? Can you check the history or navigate the user to a different page? Yes. Right? Those are all things that the browser can do. So they're all things that your browser might give you access to do through JavaScript. Right? And in the cases that I'm going to show you, you have an insane level of access to the stuff that you can do with JavaScript. So the first place where I'm going to put myself is I can use JavaScript when I hop into the console to interact with the browser. Right? So I am going to go to, let's just go right into the console here by going inspect, and then console. And then I can start writing things in here. Have y'all seen this before? Right? The console on the browser. Now, I can do my usual 1+1 console.log, hello, gross. Right? But Aiden, do I have the tool for you? Alert. This is the next level console log.
What up? What? What? Triggered an alert. I'm dipping my toes into the things that are possible with client-side JavaScript. I can type alert as a function and pass it things to do. What up? Now, if I was to do this in Node, right? So let's go to Node for a second. If I was to do this inside of my Node terminal, and I typed in alert with hello, what do you think happens? Yeah, alert is not defined, right? Because the thing is, I'm working with JavaScript in a different place here, right? Node does not have a window, so it has no real reason to be able to alert, right? Whereas when I'm talking to the window, right, here, JavaScript is being used for a different purpose. So I have access to different things. And yo. Right. So here's one. There's other things I can do. There's a prompt function. The prompt function says a message like, what is your name? Prompt, what is your name? And what I get is sort of like an alert, but with the text input that I can write into. Boop. Right. What could that possibly be used for? Well, what I might say is const name equals, or let's say username equals prompt. What is your name? And now when the thing pops up and says, what is your name? And I write Nima Buscarino. Then I click enter. And now I can see that the value of username is Nima Buscarino. Right? So cool stuff. I can use JavaScript on the browser side to even receive inputs from the user. Right? We're just scratching the surface here. So the theme of today's lecture is going to be twofold. Right? The first part of it is me going around showing you just a bunch of cool things that exist in the browser. You are not going to be using all of the things that I show you. Right? I'm just trying to show you that you can, if you want to, play with things in the browser. In terms of your assignment with Tweeter, right, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be building an application that has front-end JavaScript, right? Some JavaScript running on the page that deals with the interactions that the user has with the page. Right? I'll be showing you how that works in the second half. And so this first half here is just kind of like, whoa, bam, did he really do that? Oh my God. Like that's, yeah. So I'll show you some more stuff. The thing that I really like about working in the console here, in the inspector, is that you can type any letter, and it'll start suggesting things. Like, what the heck is a Google Analytics object? Right? What is a on rejection handled? What is a WebGL vertex array object? I have no idea. I could click this, and I could press enter. Apparently, it's some function. Maybe I can do this. Throws me an error. I can't really play around with it and figure out what it is, so I'll have to go and Google it. So I go, what is the WebGL vertex array object? And I'll find, often, the thing that I'll find when I Google JavaScript stuff on the front end is this website here. Right? Now, you've seen this before, probably. What website is this? The MDN, right? The Mozilla Developer Network. If there's one tattoo that you should get this year, it's the MDN logo. Yeah, like this thing right here. Yeah, just right here. Yeah, you know, like, wait, was it a bad idea for me to do that? Yeah, right on here. Well, I got mine on my rib cage. So I do know some people in computer science who have like computer science tattoos. The thing was, I could never decide on what I wanted to get. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But if I go to WebGL vertex array object on the MDN page, I'll find an explanation of what the heck this is. Chances are the WebGL vertex array object probably a little beyond the scope of today's lecture. Oh no, easy. It represents a vertex array object pointing to vertex array data and provides names for. Well, we could use it with these following methods here. Create vertex. Okay, I have no idea what this is used for, but I'll see some examples for it. Now, the reason I'm really showing you that is because it's actually kind of fun to type a single letter and go find out what's in here. For example, did you know that you have access to your USB devices through like JavaScript? You do. I've never done it myself, but you have access to it. You know what you also have access? Bluetooth. You can do Bluetooth stuff through the browser. You know what's really fun? Gamepads. You can connect like a DualShock controller or something, like a PS3 or 4 controller to your machine. You can do that. You can do it via Bluetooth. Actually, one of the final projects from January. I just see some sparks going off. Yeah, one of the final projects from January was this one group made a remote control car that was connected to the internet. And you could control the car through a website by using a gamepad controller that they brought, right? So JavaScript does not just have to be used to make your typical social media websites or whatever. That stuff is cool, but you could do literally anything, right? That's what's awesome about JavaScript. Okay, gamepad haptic actuator. I have no idea what that is. Right. So we're gonna do, we're gonna do navigator. The navigator object, right? Because it is just an object in this case here, I can pop this open and I can see what this is. So let me just pop this completely open so we can see it like that. So I have access to whatever this navigator global object is. And I can dive into this. What kind of information am I seeing in here? Right. I see app code name, app name. I'm not actually running Netscape Navigator, but for historic purposes, every browser just has app name Netscape in the Navigator. What else do I have? You can see what machine I'm running. You can see what language my browser's in. I don't know what device memory is. Maybe it's how many gigabytes of memory I have. Cookies, what's that? Yeah, that's how many cores I have, I think. Yeah, hardware concurrency, so how many cores I have, maybe. All kinds of stuff, and it's fun to just kind of go through vendor. So the vendor is because I'm running Google Chrome, so this is made by Google. And I could dig deeper into a lot of these, like my plugins. And I can see that I have a bunch of plugins that I've installed to Chrome, like the Chrome PDF viewer, right? I like this. Geolocation. Do geolocation stuff in JavaScript. I can see where people are. Just go navigator.geolocation. That's a thing. It's a geolocator object. I don't know, does it? I don't know. I don't know, does it? It might. Let's see. So I can click this open. Right now, I'm not really seeing anything. I'm just seeing this spooky proto. Go into proto. What? Get current position? Oh, man. Watch position? Navigator.get current position. Geolocation.get current position. That's a function. I can maybe run it. Well, what does it say? One argument required, but only 0 present. I could go find out. How do I use the get current position? Okay. Here's my handy MDN. And we can now geolocation. What's that?
You've searched it before.
Yeah, I've searched it before, yeah. You think this is real? This is all real. This is the Truman Show for me every day. No, so the geolocator get current position method is used to get the current position of the device, right? What do? I give it a single callback that takes a position. So what I can do is I can go here and I can say get current position, and I go, here's what you do with maybe the position, right? Because getting the position takes some time. So I'll probably need to use a callback for that. And here, let me just go console.log position, and we'll see what it is. I run this now. Not seeing anything yet. But if I go to, what? Developer.mozilla.org wants to know your location. All right, I'll allow it. And I go back to my terminal, and in a second, I get my position with the coordinates. And I open up position, and I open up coordinates, and I've got my latitude and my longitude. Yeah. What maximum power? What? Get my latitude and longitude? I could show that on a map. I could put that next to every message maybe that I send to say where I'm from, right? I could use that to track my users. Yeah. Honestly, once you taste this, like, the hunger doesn't go away. Like, I understand Mark Zuckerberg now. Like, I get it. Just wait. Can I do user.blood type? Unfortunately, yeah. Like a thing just comes out and it like, yeah. But I mean, it's not beyond the limit of what you think could be possible. Imagine when you have a, so I don't have my phone on me right now, but when you have like an iPhone, right? Or really any Android phone now too, they have like a finger scanner, right? How do you think people work with the finger scanner as developers? Get fingerprint, right? There's something like that to receive the fingerprint, right? And then instead of getting back like a password, like a decrypted hashed password or whatever, you end up getting a fingerprint, right? It's probably a big string, right? You can do anything. Can you run JavaScript on iOS? Yeah, you totally can, right? You want to see something bizarre? What language do you use to make iOS apps? C. You could use like Objective-C. You can use Swift. What language do people use to make Android apps? Java, right? People use Java to make Android apps. But you can also use JavaScript. You can use JavaScript to write some code that then turns into Swift or turns into Java using React, right? So you're going to learn to work with React later in this program. You can use React to make web pages, like we're going to do in this program, but you can use React to make apps through React Native. So if I go to expo.io is just a React Native thing, but I'm going to show you the documentation. All of the stuff that I can see over here in the API reference, these are all things that I can use with JavaScript, right? Audio, figure out stuff with a calendar, face detector, right? With JavaScript. I can use gyroscope, right? I'm pretty sure there's a fingerprint thing in here too. These are totally reliant on the hardware and the software that the people who made the hardware let you use, right? So if I'm a person who makes a phone, right, I might make something to let developers interact with the phone through JavaScript, right? That's the important thing, is like it's reliant on the fact that somebody has allowed you to talk to that with a particular language, right? The browser, people talk to it using JavaScript. That's actually the main reason for why JavaScript came to be, right? JavaScript came to be because people wanted to make interactive websites. They wanted to make websites that had some interaction with them, and also websites that maybe had some visual interaction on them, as in parts of the website maybe that update themselves. Right? We're going to see that in the next little bit. So I can do all this stuff. I can figure out the location. Diving into this, if I wanted to, I could rewrite my navigator geolocation thing now. Now that I know that my position has a coords and a latitude, I can do const lat is position.coords.latitude. I could do the same thing with long. So this is longitude, longitude. And then what I can do here is console.log. You are at lat and long. So I run this now again. It takes a second, and then it should end up, if I give it access to, which I already did, it prints out you are at whatever. Neat. Other things I can do. I have access to more stuff in the console, like window. Window. What do you think the window object refers to? Yeah, the browser itself. In this case here, it'll refer to like the particular tab. In Chrome, every tab is called a window because they're independent things. So I could go window dot and see what's in there. Or I could just open it up like this. And let's just dig through. Window.lux. I don't know what window.lux is. So I could go search it up. Window lux. Yeah, by lux. Window lux JavaScript. I wonder what it is. The Lux API. Yeah, I've never used it before. Oh yeah, I have no idea. Sample rate, Lux beacon. What? Somebody's tracking metrics. Oh, this is. You know what's funny is sometimes you go into your into your thing and you find that people are like tracking you or they've injected things or whatever. So I don't know what Lux is, but I'll have to do a little bit of research. All right, window.close. I mean, let's try it. We could go. Wow, window is huge. It's a very big object. Window.close. Should we do it? Scripts may only close the windows that were opened by it. So apparently I was trying to do something, right? But my browser itself didn't allow me to. Right? But it's even given me instructions though on how I might use window.close. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm working in JavaScript written in the console. But in a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an actual script. Right? I'm going to write an actual script, and I'll be running those scripts all at once instead of writing command by command by command. If there's a window.close, I'm actually curious about whether there's a window.open, and there is. And we might do something like window.open http google.com. Whoa! This is the way real hackers use the internet. Window.open wikipedia.org. Englishwikipedia.org. Wham! Right. And what do I notice about the return value of when you call window.open? It returns me a new window. This is the window that gets returned. So what I could do maybe, I haven't tried this before, but I could go, let's close these two real quick. And that one. What I could do is maybe go wiki. So I've opened up the wiki page, and I've saved it in a variable. So maybe I'll be able to go wiki.close. And I could. That's cool, right? I think that's really cool. So let's see. I think another thing that I want to do is I have access to my navigator. Oh wait, no. You know what? We'll do window. I have access to this thing called history. You have access to the history that's in that window. Length of 3, so the past 3 pages that apparently this window was on. I could open this up, and I might be able to go to window.history.back. Window.history.forward. Now, you're not seeing things change because the thing is it's happening on this page. So let me show you that again. Window.back. Back. Forward. Forward. Right? This is the way real programmers use the internet. If I convinced you that client-side JavaScript is cool, right? I just get so excited when I see my code do visual things. Right? One of the things that's really frustrating about doing server-side code is you don't get like that visual feedback. And if you're a child like me, you need like the flashing lights and like, yay! I need that. It makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something. So let's see, what are some other things that I could do? Window.location. Window.location. It's showing me in here the particular place that I'm at, like the host and the host name, which happen to be the same in this case. The particular URL that I'm at. Window.location equals, and let's do en.wikipedia.org. It's tried to take me somewhere else. Now, I wrote that as a string like this. So it was attached to the end of whatever I currently was at, right? But if I do HTTPS, then it'll take me to Wikipedia.org. So I can play around with everything that has to do with the current state of my application. Or not of the application, of the browser. And this is thanks to the nice people at Google who made it so that Google Chrome had a console that you can talk to using JavaScript. Right? Let's see, should we do... I want to show you one more thing before we do this. The navigator. So we did get current position, but there's a get battery. And you can ask for your battery level. So right now I am charging. My charging level is at 0.51. If I do this again in a minute, like my charging level will have changed a little bit. If I unplug so I'm not charging anymore, when I check to see whether I'm charging, I'm pretty sure in a little bit, this thing turns off to false because I'm not charging anymore. There we go, false. It just takes a little while to update. So you have access to that, which is kind of nuts. Can you imagine you have like a website where when you're plugged in, it's like one color, and then when you unplug, it goes to like a different color, right? Or maybe when you unplug, it stops running the really expensive background tasks, right? So it's like a little bit lighter on your battery life. That would be really cool. Right? Or maybe it like sends a notification to your friends when you're like charging or whatever, or when you're low on battery. They'll be like, hey, don't message this person yet, or like don't expect them to reply back because their battery's dying. Right? That would be cool. So again, the place where I get really hyped is when I realize that I can use software, I can use coding to interact with literally anything that has given me access to it. Right? So why people get very excited about like APIs. Right? An API just means a way for you to interact with something. API is the vaguest term on earth. Super, super vague. If something gives you access to behavior behind it, it's an API. So you've used I think you made a cat API or something like that. Right? There was like the cat API assignment. You've worked with the International Space Station API. Right? So you're talking to somebody. That was an API that you're accessing through HTTP. Right? But another kind of API is this, where the hardware that I'm working with, right, has an API giving me access to the stuff inside. Or maybe the software that I'm working with has an API that lets me access stuff in. So in this case here, there is a navigator API. Right? This is an object that gives me access to behavior on the inside. And I don't want you to get stuck necessarily in the lingo of what API means, because it is the kind of thing that you pick up over time. But generally, API will be used whenever somebody's talking about something that lets you interact with stuff. So in this case here, the battery manager, the get battery function, right, is an API into dealing with the battery stuff. Does that make some sense? So I've got my battery stuff. I've got my navigator for the geolocation stuff. I can open pages, close pages. let's get even more nuts. Here is the window that I was working with, right? I can get the height of the window. I can get the width of the window. Let me change the width a bit. Let me check the width again. It is different. Right? I have access to the width and the height through JavaScript. Again, anytime you have an interesting question about something that you can do with a page, the answer is yes. Right? Just, yeah, like you can, sure. Here's a question. I want to change this text here. We're going to go to a page. Should we click the random button page? Random page button. There you go. This one here. Y'all ever pressed random article before? You just learn so much. Random article. Anamus toitus. It's a groundbreaking work on anatomy, over 700 pages long and filled with illustrations. Here's another one. Aeropea Epirus. Cool. It was a city in Epirus in western Greece. Right. We'll do another one. Irfan Buz. Oh, my man, Turkish football manager and retired football player. Point is, I have this button. If I was to go and inspect, I could find out that that button has a, it's a list item with an ID and random page. And then inside of it, there's an A tag. I can write CSS to target that. Right? I could write, if I was to go into my CSS, so we got sources, so down here. If I was to go in here, I could write some new CSS for the thing, and random page, and maybe the A tag inside of it. And I could say that the color of it should be blue. Okay, blue is a bad color. The color of it should be yellow. Right? Now, it is yellow, just trust me. We see it as purple now because it's been clicked. So I could go, when it's been visited. All right, you know what? We'll pick something instead of color. So this was A tag. No, background is purple. What? Where are you at? Oh, the thing I forgot to do is when you write a CSS thing, what am I missing in here right now? Yeah, so this is ID, so I need to do what? Little hash. Right? Dot would be if it's a class, right? So totally. So that's something that I was missing, and now I've got that thing right there is purple. Right? So I can write some CSS to deal with it. If I can write CSS to target elements on my page, do you think I can write JavaScript to target elements on my page? Absolutely. Right? So I could go to my console, and I can go document.querySelector. So document is the page itself. Where window is the screen thing, right? So the window has the history and all that. The document is the entire HTML document. Now, you've learned a little bit about HTML in the past. We're going to do a little bit of review for how to use HTML and JavaScript together. Right? Specifically, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go document, dot, and then I'm going to write this thing called a query selector. And what query selector is it's a method inside of this document object that lets me find the particular elements that I'm looking for. So here I want to find that A tag. Now keep your eye, I guess, on this here. And you'll see that when I hover over this, that's that one A tag. And I grabbed it using JavaScript. Right? Let me save this in the notes for you. I grabbed this using JavaScript. I can do anything. I can go const random page button, and I can save it as a variable. What can we do with buttons? I can click buttons. Every time I have the random page button, I can then click it. Right? So now I'm interacting with the page. I'm actually interacting with the page itself through JavaScript. Not only am I finding the button, I can click the button. Right? What I'm doing is I'm navigating through the page. I'm finding the particular node that I'm asking for, right? And then I can do stuff to it. Clicking is just one thing that I could do to that button or a tag, right? Go find it, and then I can click it. Okay. Am I alone in thinking that this is like the coolest thing? Like, if you don't think this is the coolest thing, like, get out. This is, yeah. Can I change? So like on the page here, I've never actually tried that. Let's see. The question here is in sources, you have access to the like the JavaScript that is written up for the particular page. I've never actually tried. We could go through and find where the particular JavaScript files are. It's just going to take me a while to find it. That's a good question. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you could, but the thing is, that's just going to be local for you. Like it'll stay there until you close the tab, and then it'll be gone, and you'll have to reopen it. Yeah. No, there's got to be some way. For right now, though, what I can do is I can find things on the page and edit them. And the other thing that I want to show you I can do is when I find content, right, when I find a thing that I want to change, for example, this random page button, right, I could do things like, let's see, it's inner text. The inner text of the random page button was random article. But I could change this text. Inner text is now, because see, this is like dealing with an object, right? So I could change this text by going, hey, the text is now going to be, hey, yo, take me to a random page. And now that's what the thing says, right? I've changed the text now, and it's like it's different. I could change all kinds of stuff here. I could change the random page buttons, maybe CSS somehow through JavaScript. I could even change the HTML. And that's what we're going to be working with. Are there questions at the moment? So it's 10:46. I want to show you. I want to show you two things. I think the first one's going to be that I'm going to grab a thing like the const title or const like article title is the document query selector. And if I want to grab this title up here, what do you think I'll have to do? What steps should I go through to figure out how to do that? Yeah, I could just click inspect and find out. So if I go inspect, I'll find out that it's an H1. Generally on a page, there should only be a single H1, but if I want it to be really specific, I could use the ID as well. I'm going to go get me the H1. And when I check the article title now, there's my H1. And I can change things like, let's do the inner HTML again, or inner text again. And this is now an article about Nima Boscarino, right? Yes, right, finally. You have no idea how long I've waited for this moment. And now I have my very own Wikipedia article. Right? I honestly really recommend doing this kind of stuff as an exercise. It's fun, and then you end up taking a screenshot, and you're like, Mom, look, I did it. Right? So now I have my own inner text. Article title is going to have all kinds of stuff in it. Article title is an HTML node. Right? So doing a very quick review of HTML, the way HTML works is we have a document that's built up by saying, wow. It's built up by saying things like, nice, okay. Built up by saying things like, hey, here's the HTML document. Can people see this at all? Yeah. HTML document, and then let's end the HTML document down here. This is still also garbage. All right, fingers crossed. These are all like light green pens. That's good, thanks. That was tough. It's so close.
Straight to the face.
Yeah. So HTML, we close it, and then we can put stuff in here, right? Maybe I'll have a body tag, and I can put stuff in my body, right? I can put stuff in here. Say I have a div, I might put a p tag inside of the div. What does this nesting structure kind of remind you of? Something that you actually did, I think, Friday. Yeah, they're trees, right? This is a tree structure. Because at the end of the day, there's an HTML with children. And then the body has children, and the div might have children. So I can actually write this thing as a tree structure. You can write it as a tree structure by looking at it like this. HTML has a head and a body, right? A good HTML document should be formatted like this. And then the body can have literally anything you want. If my body has a div, then that's cool. It goes under there. My div might have maybe a p tag, right? Maybe an image, maybe a UL. What do my ULs usually have? Right? They might have LI elements. Right? So you have this nested kind of tree structure. Right? And what we're doing with the query selector, is we're asking for a particular node. Right? In the browser, when I go document, what that gets me is the entire, like the whole thing. I can then go document. Can I do this? No, document children, child element count. There we go. Child element count to see how many children the document has. If I look in here, I think there's a get children, get root node. There's going to be a function. This isn't necessarily super important right now, but there's going to be a function that shows me the children that are inside the thing. Right? When I'm asking for the title, like in that particular H1, I'm taking my JavaScript finger and I'm going and I'm grabbing a single one of them. Right? Now, the place where this becomes really interesting is if I have many instances of a thing. For example, if I go to a random page that has some pictures, like this page here has many images, it might be cool for me to go, well, let's query selector for images. What you're going to find is that the query selector, this query selector function, only returns a single image. But there is a query selector all that returns everything in the page that matches that query. So query selector by default just returns the very first thing that matches the query. Right? It's good for when you're trying to find just the one or the first thing. But if I have a bunch of images, now here, when I do query selector all, and I hover over these, each of these is an individual image. And what I want you to start thinking about right now is, what if I wanted to change all of these images? What would I do? So that's CSS-wise, if I wanted to apply the same rule to all the images. But I mean more like, what if I wanted to make each one of these images change the href or the source? Like I wanted to change where they were getting the image from. Like say I had a cat image API. Oh, the cat API, right? Or place kitten. Okay. Say I wanted to do place kitten and replace all the images with kittens. There's something I'd have to do. Yep. Mm-hmm. 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 Inside each image, right? So I would have to loop through each image, right? And I can totally do that. If I just go to the page right now, my Wikipedia page, and I go const images, so those are all the images, I can say, well, let's find me the very first image, right? And within the very first image, what I can do is get me the source. That's the source of the first image. And just like I did with the inner HTML, I can actually change the source of an image, right, by just dealing with it as if it was an object, because it is, right? So I can go images 0 source and change this to be maybe my cat image. So this one right here. So I could change this to be my particular cat image. Maybe I want to do it 300 by 300. This API gives you a different image of a cat every time you give a different dimension. So if it's the same dimension, it'll be the same cat every time. But when I do this now, let's see the Wikipedia page real quick. When I do this now, and I go enter, it's a cat, right? And if I wanted to, what I could do is instead of doing it this way, I could loop through all the images. So maybe something to the tune of images for each. And I could go through each image and change the image source to be the cat. Whoa! Maximum kittens, right? Like just maximum, right? Which is cool. So again, what we're doing here is we're using the console to deal with this. Is there one more thing I want to do? Yeah, I'm going to do one last thing. So let me save this. This was, I get all the images. And I will format the notes when I send them out to you. Heads up, though, it will take me a minute or two, because the thing, or not a minute, it might take me like an hour. I will give you my old lecture notes where I do pretty much the same thing, so that you can refer to those immediately after lecture. But it'll take me a little while to just format these ones nicely. So the thing that I wanted to show you is, and this is super quick, among what you can do is, say I want to listen for an interaction by a user. For example, I want to listen to when somebody clicks on a thing. Like when somebody clicks on, we're going to find, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go to the cat, dog page. So here's the dog Wikipedia page. It's got all these pictures of dogs. And we're going to be like sneaky hacker cats. What we're going to do is we're going to say, anytime that somebody clicks on something, we're going to do something interesting. So here's my query selector to grab the h1. So const, maybe title. So my title is that thing. I want to say anytime somebody clicks on the title, I want to do something interesting. How would you imagine that I might write this code? Huh? Title.onClick, maybe? Title.onClick. Oh, what? It's even auto-completing it for me, right? Yes. Title.onClick. And what can I do to title.onClick? I can assign a function that should run every time somebody clicks on the title. Here's what should happen. I want you to alert meow. Right? And now what happens is anytime somebody clicks on the title, it alerts meow. Haha. What we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit funkier. Anytime somebody clicks on the title, what we're going to do is, you have been hacked by the, yeah, by the cat brigade. So meow. Oh, when you go meow, it shows you a cat. Did you know that? That's cute. So here's a little cat. We're gonna say you've been hacked. You've been hacked in the alert, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go title dot inner text is cats are better than dogs. I don't personally agree. I like cats more. I mean, I like dogs more, but cats are the kinds of jerks that would do something like this. And then what they're going to do is they're going to go through every one of the images on the page and replace each image with a picture of a cat. So I've attached this fairly complicated bit of code that says, whenever somebody clicks on the title, alert that you have been hacked, change the inner text of the title, and go replace every one of the images, right? Maximum hacker. And when I go enter, and then I click on dog, it alerts saying you have been hacked. I go OK, and now it says cats are better than dogs, and it's replaced all the pictures with cats. Right? So a little bit of friendly hacking. Right? Neat. Pretty neat. What is important to remember, though, is that what I'm doing, these changes that I'm making, only exist on my side. So if I refresh this page, it's all gone. So we're going to save this, title.onClick. Cool. So yeah, I wanted to show you that. What we're going to do with the second half is I'm going to show you a tool, a library that works on top of a lot of the stuff that I've shown you. It's just going to make some of the function calls a little bit nicer, and you'll see what I mean in a bit. It's jQuery, as the thinking programmer calls it. Not a lot of people know this, but it's J''query. And if you're feeling extra fancy, it's M''query for McQuery. It never lands. That one of these days. Yeah. So we will be looking at jQuery after the break. Has this first half, like, are you enjoying? Is it making sense? Cool. I want to stress for your thing that you're working with, you're going to be working with jQuery. But jQuery doesn't mean it takes away all the rest of the stuff that we've done today, right? It works in synthesis with. Right? So jQuery is going to be used to superpower one particular part of what we've looked at. And you'll see what I mean. Are we good to take a 10-minute break? Let's treat ourselves. Let's do 12. 12 minutes? Yeah, I'll see you all at 11:12.
To do that sort of thing through the console where you're like values.
Okay, so
right, like, because I just in the work I was doing a little bit this morning, and they like said modify something in the source, like when a console log, I had to go into the actual file through. I just wasn't able. Like I kind of was able to select it, but I could literally hit enter, and it like wouldn't let me do new line. It would just like.
Oh, okay, weird. Yeah, because so for your assignments, like they'll want you to work in there. Now, generally, when we go look up some JavaScript, like this is apparently part of the JavaScript that runs on the Wikipedia page. It'll be this big old minified thing. Minified meaning like it'll be squished. But so this is not letting us edit anything?
Well, no, you can add on to it, but I was trying to like edit what? Huh, that's so weird. Man.
So I can write console log hello, but chances are that then when I refresh this page, it'll like clear itself.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Right? Yeah, so chances are when I go console log now that hello isn't there anymore. So but there might be some. Yeah, you could toss some stuff in here, but generally like we'll have access to our VS Code anyways. And you won't really want to edit through this. You won't really want to edit through that. Okay. The only reason we might want to edit through here is for your page. Yeah, like styling, you can mess around with it through here. But say you're working on your own web page. What you can do in here is you can throw in breakpoints to stop the code from running at particular lines. So for example, I might put in a
Yeah.
thing like this. So when
And then you reload, and then I know how to do that.
So that's the one thing that I might really want to do, and then I can not apparently go and edit this. So this is what you were saying, like you're not allowed to type in here.
Yeah, but
I am sure though that there's gonna be some Chrome extension or something that lets you do that, right?
Cool.
So it might be neat to like go search for a Chrome extension that does that, or make
But I
one.
guess it's not really that.
Nah.
Thanks, man.
The only reason it would be neat is maybe to at least off the top of my head is to add in some functionality to a website that doesn't already have it.
Yep.
And the way I've done that for myself is I've made Chrome extensions, and it's actually pretty easy to, in this case here, like this one I called it diversity filter or whatever. It opens up a little thing that then also affects my pages.
Okay.
Or if have you worked with Imager before?
No.
Or do you know what Imager is?
No.
It's like a website where people post images.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So if I was to go to the Imager, you don't have access to making the images go in like a full screen slideshow mode.
Okay.
And I thought it would be a useful function. So you make I made a little Chrome extension of this dog, and when you click on it and click on the page, then you can go F, and you add functionality.
Okay.
So that's something that you can do.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Neat.
Thanks, man.
No problem. All right. So we'll get started. All right. So when we had left off, what I'd given you was a breakneck kind of speed tour of the possible things, some of the possible things that you can do through the JavaScript console. Working in the JavaScript console is neat, but at the end of the day, it sucks for me to have to write the code again and again and again every time I load up the page. What would also be cool would be if I had my own web page, I want to inject some content into there. That's actually what you're going to be doing for your assignment. Is you're going to have some form of like an HTML page, such as we'll do here. We'll just call it. Should we call it demo one? Just demo1.html. You're going to have some form of an HTML page. So we'll go, all right, here's my HTML document. And among the things that your HTML document has, maybe it has an H1 that says, welcome to my page. Among the things that it has, it can have a script tag. Now, you can put your script tag in a couple different places. Script tag is going to look like this. I'm going to start off by just straight up writing some JavaScript within the script tag. Right. So I've written some JavaScript directly inside of the script tag. So when I look at my file, really this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the word welcome to my page. And this content here within the script tag doesn't actually show up on the page. Don't just take my word for it. We're going to see what this looks like. So when I open this page up in my editor, what I see is welcome to my page. But then when I go look at the console, in the console I get yo. So what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to write functionality for this page now directly in this script tag. So for example, if I had an image and my image had a source, which was, we're going to do Drake, and we're just going to get a nice little, aw, Drake, look at you. Here we go. Open image, a new tab. So here's my picture of Drake. What I might do in my script tag is I might say, here's this button. Here's this button that says, no, or just change, click me. It'll just say click me. And on here, it might say something like on click, I want to run, and I'll be able to say what function I want to run. So I'll want to run the handle, we'll call it conify. Conify. I don't currently have a conify function. So when I go to my page, what I see is Drake, and I see this click me button. But when I click on it, I get an error that says conify is not defined. Fair enough. So what I can go ahead and do is I can go make a function called const conify equals, and it is a function that maybe does something such as console log easy. It just does something simple. Now I could write anything I want in here, right? It could be the navigator, get, geolocation, whatever. Like it could be all that stuff. Right now I'm just doing a console log. And when I click on click me now, I don't get an error. Instead, I get literally nothing. Yeah, so console log is just going to print it out here into the console. Now, it's finding the thing. Yeah, I need to do that. Boop. Yeah, and now when I click on it, every time I click on it, I get easy. So I'm saying anytime you click the button, here's what you do. Oh, Lola, hello. Upstaging me. Can't believe it. It feels pretty awkward, though, to write this stuff here directly in HTML, because we're dealing with some JavaScript and then HTML, and I'd like to keep all the JavaScript written in one place and all the HTML written in one place. So often what I'll do here is I'll give this a button, and I might call this one like the Kanye-fi button. Right? So then what I can do here is I can say document.query selector, get me the Kanye-fi button, so a const button. And then what I can do is say when the button gets clicked, then run Kanye-fi. Right? This is going to give me an error though right now because the function's getting declared after I use it, so I might want to move this stuff down by a bit. Does that make sense? So now I have my Kanye-fi button right here, and when I click on it, it does easy. Right? So the connection here between my HTML and my JavaScript is built up of a couple things. The first one is I have HTML written, and that I have like a button with an ID on it. And the reason that I'm doing that is because in the script that I've written down here, I refer to the button by its ID. Okay. Now, what do you think would happen if I moved the script tag up above? Yep. It'll run the script before it loads the page. So your browser, when it sees the HTML, it starts from the top and it runs it on its way down. So when it makes it to the script tag, does the button already exist? No, it hasn't made it to the button yet. So it'll try to find a button, but it won't be able to attach anything to it. And I can see this in action when I go here and I refresh. I run into an error that says cannot set property on click of null. Right? And if I debugged this enough, I would realize it's because when I get over here, when I console.log maybe what my button is, when I console log that, what I end up seeing is null. So I need to make sure that my JavaScript runs after my page has loaded. Right? One way to do that is to put your script just way at the bottom of the page so that it doesn't run until it's been loaded. Now, there are some other ways of doing it. One of the things that I can do is listen for an event. In the same way that I can listen for when somebody clicks on a button, I can also do something like document.onLoad and say, oh, here is what you should do when you load the page. This, though, to me becomes way more confusing because now my code, like the functionality that I want to do to the page lives inside of an extra function, and it just starts getting confusing to me. Right? In fact, this would allow me now to move this up here because this code does not run until the document has loaded. Right? Until the document has loaded. So when I go to this page, it's going to be fine. Actually, no, it looks like it broke. It broke, whatever. Document.onLoad. Yeah, who knows? Point of the matter is that that's not what I'm trying to show you. Point of the matter is that I need to make sure that my code actually runs after the rest of the page is loaded. Now, at a certain point, and I'll call this demo 2, we get to where my code might just get so overwhelming. Just I have so much of code, so much, that it doesn't make sense for me to write it in the same place as my HTML. It can get pretty frustrating pretty quick if my HTML is really big and your code is really big. So what I'd like to do is maybe have a JavaScript file. I'll call this one script2.js. It's called script2 because it goes with demo 2. Not because it's my second script, but because I'm going to number them so they go with the demo that they're for. So script 2 here, in my script 2, that's where I can move all of this code. That's where I can move all of my code. And now in my demo 2, what I can do is, instead of having this script that's empty, I can say, hey, the source for this script is script 2. So I'm like attaching this thing, right? And I need to make sure that it's attached so that way the thing actually runs. So let me go to demo 2. Right. Here's demo 2. As we see, yo runs even though the word yo does not appear on this page, because the word yo is over on script 2. Does that make sense? No? Yes? I can make up all sorts of different scripts and add them in like that. Right? So I can have lots of different scripts and add them in. And that's what we're going to be working with. So let me make a demo 3. Demo 3. And what I'm going to do with demo 3 is I'm going to say list of artists. We do that? Nah. List of cats. So we're not going to have a button in here right now. We're not going to have an image in here. What we're going to start off with is we're going to start off with a UL that has nothing in it. My UL might have an ID, maybe, and it's like cat list or something. Okay. So here's my UL, and here's my script. My script points to script 3. There's currently no such thing as script 3, so I'm going to go ahead and make it. Now, I know that I can write all kinds of stuff in here, like console log and whatever. But what I actually want to do right now is I want to grab my cat list, that UL. So cat list UL. And go document.query selector. Cat. So that was an ID cat list. And then the other thing that I want to do is maybe I want a list of cats. Cats. Maybe this list is going to be a list of objects. A list of objects that have names. Anybody got a cat? Marbles. Yeah. So here's marbles, and every cat is going to have an image. Okay. Wait, you know what? Actually, what I'm going to do is every cat's going to have a dimension. Because I'm going to use the cat API. So marbles from 200 to 300 in jumps of 10, how big is marbles?
Really small.
Okay, so we'll do a 200 then. All right, so that's how big marbles is, 200. And we'll do another cat. We'll do a couple. So, anybody got cats? PETA? Oh, peanut. Yeah, I like PETA. So peanut, how big is peanut? Pretty small. We'll do 230, right? This will make sense in a second, the number. And then I'll do one Felix. So PETA is going to be pretty big. PETA is 280, and Felix is maybe 250. Right? The reason I'm doing this is because what I want to do is go through my cats, and for each cat, what I want to do is I want to take my cat list .ul, and I want to add a new cat. So there is this append method that receives a node that can be added. So for example, I might add some text that says cat. And what I'm going to see now is that when I go to my demo 3 HTML, and we will look at the code again in a second, what I get is cat, 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 cat. 4 cats. Cat, 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 cat. Because it had appended this text, however many times there were cats. I would like to add actual DOM nodes. Does anybody remember what DOM means? Document Object Model. Actual HTML nodes to the page. So what I can do is create a cat. I can go here and I can say my cat li element. I'm going to go document create element. And what I can say with document create element is I can say what particular element I'm creating. So what kind of element do I want to make? I want to make an li. And now that's the thing that I want to append, cat li. What I'm going to see now is when I go to my page, I have 4 empty li elements. So I'm constructing my page on the front end based on some data. And I go here and I say, OK, let's create this element li. And then what we're going to do to it is we're going to go cat li dot inner text or maybe inner HTML. I can explore to see what maybe these two things do. Inner HTML is going to allow me to write some HTML. So what I want to do is I want to go, here's a p tag with the cat's name. And also I want to do an image with the source coming from that cat API. So my cat API was over here going, not this one, but rather place kitten. So with place kitten, you can go place kitten and then give it a dimension. And if you just give it one, it'll do a square. So I can do cat.dimension. So what I should get now is for each one of these li elements, what I should get is a p tag for the name and then an image. And I can go here and I can refresh my cat page. And I get a different cat for everyone. That's why I did the dimension, so that I got a different picture of a cat for each one. Right? So here's Marbles. Cute. Peanut. Aw. Peta. And Felix. Very good cats. Now I feel bad. Oh, man. I'm sorry. I can't only pet one of the cats. There we go. So I can construct this page dynamically as the thing loads up. Let me show you something else now. If I take this demo 3, I'm going to do a demo 4. I'll put each one of these in their own folder so you don't have to like figure out which one is which. So demo 4. HTML, I'll make a demo 4.js for this too then. And what I want to do with demo 4 is I also want to have maybe a form where I can add new cats. Right? Well, let's start with a button, actually. We'll do a button that says ID add cat. Then it'll have to like generate a random name. You know what? We'll just go straight for a form. So here's my form. And what can a form have? What can I put in a form? Because right now my form is just empty, so it doesn't even show the form. I can put in text fields, right? So I'll go like text, right, for the input. Input type text. And now my form has an input. Another thing that I might want is a submission. Input type submit, right, to create a new cat. Now, my thing might be made up of this one here, which is the name of the cat. And then down here, I might also have the dimension of the cat. Now, when I have a form and I click submit, something happens. What happened? What happens every time I click submit? It makes a request. Now, do I have a server? No. So there's no reason for me to make a request. I want to stop my form from actually making any kind of request. And I can do that. I can do that through JavaScript. I can give the form maybe an ID, like this was the new cat form. Right? And what I can do in my script is I can say, hey, here's the query selector to find the new cat form. New cat form. Also, heads up, today's lecture is going to go over by a little bit because I want to spend some time on jQuery. So here's the new cat form. So I'll just call it form. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to say form on any time it's being submitted. Right? So there isn't necessarily a form.on submit, at least not that I remember. You could see form on submit with JavaScript. Looks like there is an on submit event. So I could write some JavaScript here that says when you try to submit the form, the usual action is to send it. Right? Send it. I'm going to try and overwrite that. I'm going to write in here maybe alert. No, don't make a server request. Right? I'm just going to alert. And when I go over to my page and I try to submit, what I get is, no, don't make a server request. But then when I click OK, what happens? It does it anyways, right? It does it anyways. It still goes through, right? It's like, I don't know if you've seen this. What's his name? Green dude from Dragon Ball. We'll go Dragon Ball Spaghetti. You've seen, some of you might have seen this recently. It's like a meme. Okay, well I didn't actually want to see Goku eating. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Like it's still like, no. This is Piccolo, right? Yeah, cool. So, so I don't like actually watch anime, but I know an embarrassing amount about anime. So I used to throw like anime references into my lectures. I don't do that anymore because it alienates a lot of people. So what we're gonna do here though is like I actually want to stop the thing. And what I have access to in here is the actual event. I can see the event that gets triggered when somebody tries to submit the form. Specifically, when I refresh this and I try to submit, in my terminal, I see event. And I can do things with this event. Events are things that happen in your program. They happen somewhere, and then they bubble up. When I say bubble up, I mean that they float until somebody catches them and does something with them. The browser itself, for this kind of event, it knows that what it should do is make a server request. But if I catch it and I tell it not to do the default action, then I can stop that. But I have to physically say, take the event and prevent the default action. Right? It feels a little clunky, but it's what I've got to do. Right? I have to say, don't do the default thing that you were going to do. So when I refresh this page now, when I refresh this page and I submit, I get, no, don't make a server request. But when I go OK now, it hasn't actually submitted. Right? So I can overwrite that stuff. I've got event prevent default. And among the things that I want to do, is I want to maybe take my cat list and add a new cat to it. So I want to take a new li element, just like I did before, pack in some inner HTML, and I'm going to hard code this text right now, new cat, and pack in a dimension, which I'm going to hard code to 125. This is going to be a teeny tiny cat, little cat. And then I'm going to append that cat. At the moment, notice I'm not getting the stuff from the form. So every time I want to add a new cat, it goes, Nima cat, Nima Danger Boscarino is my actual name. And then dimensions are going to be like whatever number, it doesn't really matter. When I go submit and I scroll down to the bottom, I've got my new cat, tiny cat. Now, I want to actually get the values from the form. When I console log my event is, I can see what's in there. So let me try this again. I'm going to do whatever, submit, and let's dive into this event. Among the things that I have in here is this target. What do I have in my target? A bunch of stuff, including, where are you at? Where are you at? Was it way at the top? Nah, I didn't want the input. I wanted target. Come on. I'm going to PQRST. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, nah. Well, I'm looking for console.log event, target, and values. I think it's one of those things that doesn't show up when you write the thing, but let me just check. Oop. No. Let's see, well, we could dig through this. Target. And then, I mean, I guess there's input. I got 3 inputs. Children. I'm trying to find the thing. I've got this in another little demo here, so we'll just look at that real quick. I'm blanking on this. So this is an old demo I used to do where it's I'll show you what it is before I take the code from it. Yeah, it's KanyeSounds.com, the #1 website for Kanye West sounds. So I'll show you how the code works in a second, because it's actually very similar to what we're building. So here are a bunch of Kanyes, and when you click on them, so I found like a big, it was like a YouTube video of Kanye West's favorite sounds. So it's like a bunch of his ad-libs or whatever all put together in like a 1.5 minute. So I used Audacity and I snipped out a couple of my favorites. And I gave them names like, And I like the Yeah. So what I have in this case here is that there's a bunch of, I know this was a bit of a switch, but it's very much identical to the demo we were just doing. It's got a bunch of images instead of a bunch of LIs. And what I did in the script was I said, for this one, loop through, where are we at here? I'm not actually going to explain a ton here. For each one of them, it creates a new audio element. Audio is an actual thing that you can do in JavaScript, and you can audio.play anytime somebody clicks on a Kanye. I will give you access to this code, or maybe we'll build it in jQuery in the second, last little bit of the lecture. But just to give you some context, it also has a form. It also has a form, which is where I'm stealing that code from right now. So I was going to go look at how I did the form, which is every time you click, that's what I did. Silly me. Every time you click on the thing, we don't actually have the thing through event target values easily like that. But what I do have is I can get the, the cat name, and I can get the cat size or dimension by making a new document query selector thing and querying for an input with the name, and here an input with the name dimension. Okay. So inputs are just HTML tags. So I can query for particular HTML tags or particular inputs. And the way that you can query for a particular input by attribute is you do this. Fun fact, that also works in CSS, right? I'll let you Google this syntax. So what I wanted to do here was say, not show new cat, but the cat with the cat name and the cat dimension. So when I'm back to, let's leave Kanye. When I'm back here and I add a new cat, this cat is going to be called Bradlina. And my cat's going to be 270. When I go down, I've got I've got so cute. Oh, so cute. A cute little cat. What do I have here? Object HTML input element. I might need to go and actually go deeper than just getting the element, but actually get the value itself. Okay. Me adding this code on here at the end may or may not work. We'll find out in a sec. So I add Bradlina with the big old 270-pound cat, and I've got Bradlina here. Right. I add another cat, Christopheretta. It's good names. Christopheretta is a big cat, 1,000. Yeah, this is the maximum cat. There you go. You want to do a bigger cat? Cristoforone. In Italian, if you add an one at the end of a word, it's bigger, right? Cristoforone. 10,000. More. Oh, it broke. They don't have cats that big, but I mean, I'm sure they'll have like 9,000 or something like that. Right, too many pixels for this cat. Oh, well, this is a very limited API, eh? Fine, we'll do 5,000. Come on, let me have a big cat. What? Is 1,000 really the biggest cat? Like 1,001?
Like a 4K cat.
A 4K cat. All right, here's an 1,001 cat, and you wanted 4,000? All right, let's see, 4K cat. It's not even broken, it just doesn't. It returns back blank. So, I mean, yeah, it looks like there's some limits to this cat API as to, whoa, man.
Oh, no, it's taking some time getting the picture.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, here's my 3,000. There we go. Cat. This is the kind of cat that pets you. Like, you don't pet this cat. Yeah, 3 cats. 4 cats. Yeah, so in this situation here, what we've done is we worked with JavaScript on the front end in a bunch of different ways, right? If I wanted to, I could do all kinds of other, show me the battery life or whatever, but I don't feel like doing that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to take some time to talk about jQuery. I gave you a heads up that this lecture is going to go a bit over, right? Because I really wanted to make sure that the working directly with vanilla JavaScript, because that's what we've been dealing with. It's called vanilla JavaScript, right? It is fine. Vanilla JavaScript is okay, right? It just means JavaScript right out of the box. It works. It does everything you kind of need it to. But what you might find is at some places along here, I made some mistakes. And I also had a little bit of a tough time doing things like creating a new element. If I had to loop through stuff, which I did with the this one here, which was looping through all the images. To me, it feels a little clunky to have to do this. It's just the document query selector. It's not the easiest thing to work with. People years ago, many years ago, things are a bit different now, but people many years ago got upset at vanilla JavaScript. Right? They got upset specifically with trying to find elements on the DOM because this document query selector didn't exist. Right? Years ago, that wasn't there. So if you wanted to find stuff on the DOM, you'd have to go search for it using like more hacky JavaScript. So some people got together and they made a library in JavaScript and they gave it this name, jQuery. Right? My dream is for a bootcamp cohort to graduate
and then go to interviews and call it jQuery. Yes, I am versed in jQuery, and true programmers know it's called McQuery. No, so jQuery. Please don't make that mistake. It's jQuery. We're going to use jQuery, which is a bunch of JavaScript code that somebody wrote to make doing these query selectors a bit easier. Okay? That's really the point. Originally, it was to make the query selectors easier because this here did not exist. This line of code, like 8 years ago, didn't exist. So jQuery. Go a line, we can find it. jQuery, the write less, do more JavaScript library. Yeah, right. Write more, do less. I love how this makes everything harder. That's I love how it just slows me down. It really lets me think about the code that I'm writing. So, yeah, I finished like one feature this year. It's just a really good feature. So, jQuery, the write less, do more JavaScript library. We can download it. We go to download. I've got some options for how I want to download. We're going to do, let's do this uncompressed development jQuery. And I'm just going to click on it, okay, to open up a new tab. When I go here and I zoom in on this, what do I see? What is this stuff? It's JavaScript. All it is JavaScript. jQuery is JavaScript. jQuery is specifically one. Let's ignore this stuff. Looks a little bit tougher than what you're used to. jQuery is a function. jQuery is one big, massive function that you get given access to. Right? If I take this script, if I take that script and we're going to do this in a new demo. We're going to call this demo 5. Okay, apparently not. Oh, there you go. In my demo 5 here, demo 5. Maybe I'll have my script 5 or whatever. But among the things that I'll have is a script that says source, and it points to jQuery. That jQuery URL. Script. There you go. Hey, now I've installed jQuery on my website. Because all it is this one big script. And this one big script, what it gives me access to is, if I take a look at my page, so this is my demo 4 that does not have jQuery. When I type out the word jQuery, it gives me an error. If I go to demo 5, demo5.html, when I type out jQuery, it doesn't give me an error. Right? Because I added in that script tag. And what jQuery gives me access to is the jQuery function or the $sign function. Is there any difference between jQuery and $sign? Absolutely not. jQuery and $sign mean the same thing. Some people don't like typing out jQuery all the time. So the jQuery people are like cash money, and they didn't buy, but essentially they were using the $sign symbol as the name of their function. So if I do jQuery triple equals $sign, same thing. So what do I use jQuery for? I can use jQuery to query for things on the page. The main purpose for jQuery is to make asking for things on the page really easy. So let me quickly just make sure that script 5 exists so that this page looks the same as it used to. So here's script 5. What I can do using jQuery is I can say, get me all of the images. And the query for it just looks shorter than the document query selector thing. However, document query selector all for image, is there a difference between the return value for these two? I want you to look at these two.
are these two different things? They are. They both have images in them, but this one here is an array called a node list, and this one's an array of jQuery things. So when we start using jQuery, each of these elements, when we grab them, they're not just HTML elements. They're jQuery elements. Like, they're fancy. It's not just a body. It's a jQueryified object of the body. And what we're going to see with this is it's going to give me access to more things than I had access to before. And we'll see what that means in a second. For right now, all I want you to remember is these things look similar, but they're not exactly the same. Not exactly the same. For example, with the document query selector all, I could go for each. And that's what I had done before. Like, I would loop through things, like loop through every image and replace it and all that. That's what I did on the Wikipedia page. With this one here, there is no for each function. So again, even though these two things look similar, they're not actually the same thing. So when I do a jQuery selector to grab a bunch of stuff, I don't have access to for each. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing because, here, let me go to Wikipedia for dogs again. Wikipedia dogs. It's not a bad thing because the code that I write here, now to replace all the images of dogs to make them all cats, the code that I have to write is actually going to be a little bit shorter than what I had before. If I go way back to what I had to write before, it was something like this that said, hey, let me get all the images and then loop over all the images. With jQuery, however, so this worked and it replaced all the cats. With jQuery, however, which is already installed in Wikipedia, so if I go jQuery, it's already in here. What I can do is my query can be as simple as change the source of the thing, so source. So attribute, source is an attribute of an image. So jQuery is going to have its own language for talking about things. The syntax is going to look a little bit different than the way I did it with the document query to the cat image. So where's my cat? Set it to the cat image with a whatever 200. And now what I've done is I've gone through and I've changed all of the change source. Weird, huh? Yeah, I didn't run into this before. Yeah, I wonder. What you are seeing, though, is at the very least, I am breaking every image, right? At the very least. For some reason, it's requesting the thing over HTTPZ, my new protocol here, HTTPS. Yeah, You do 200 by, this should, oh, weird. Okay, so apparently when I do 200, it comes broken. That's on the cat API side. I didn't do this. This is on them. But for them, when you get it back, it's 200. All I really want you to see, though, is when I'm going image attribute, I can change the source of every image in one line, as opposed to having to write a loop. That's what jQuery is nice for, is you can make these big, powerful changes with smaller lines. Right? It does take a little while to get comfortable with the new syntax. You're going to have to look at the documentation a lot. So in my case, what I had to do to learn to do this, so I had to go figure out how to change image source jQuery. And somebody will have told me that when I want to change the image source, what I can do is I can go and learn about the jQuery ATTR function. A lot of jQuery is going to be on you to Google. jQuery is a very big library. It's very big. You don't need all of it, but you're going to have to research like a bit. Right? Adder is one of the things. Right? So say I wanted to change all of these pictures to pictures of Kanye West, for example. I could get a different image. We'll get just a little open image, new tab. Here's Kanye. And now I could say things like, hey, when somebody clicks on, let's go to a different one. Oh, this is cute. Tiny the Wonder.
I was literally reading that in the washroom.
We'll pick some. Oh, you know what we'll do? We'll go to Drake's page. And I don't actually hate Drake, but Drake musician. And what we'll do is we can say, hey, whenever somebody clicks on the page, change it to Drake. Maybe I want to say whenever somebody clicks on the H1, here's my H1. Whenever somebody clicks on the H1, that's the function that should run. So whenever somebody clicks on the H1, I can pass this a callback. I can say, when you click on the H1, here's what you should do. Console.log, you clicked. And now I'm going to find that when I click on the H1, it prints out, you clicked. So what I can do is take that code that I wrote earlier and say, hey, when you click on the H1, go grab all of the images and change their source to that picture of Kanye West. Right? And now this doesn't happen immediately. Notice this code says things that will happen. When you click on the H1, then go find the images and change the attributes. You're going to have to think about jQuery in a little bit of like a different mindset. Right? We're selecting things and we're attaching listeners. Now when I click on the H1, it's all Kanye. Right? No! Right? You've been hacked. You know what's funny is it changes all of the images, including that one up there. Yeah, every one. So I think down here, all of these are little Kanye's. Yeah, God, not again, right? So these are powerful things that we can do with jQuery. Now, I've used jQuery here on the console in a page that already has it. But if I go ahead and go to maybe a page that I've made myself, such as demo 5, I have jQuery in here. So let me actually, I'm just going to save this code here for you in the notes that I'll send out. So if I go to my script 5, what I can do in my script 5 is I can write code. I can write code to run using jQuery. Right? So in here, for example, I might say, when somebody clicks on the H1, I want you to console.log meow. Right? That's what I want you to do. When somebody clicks on the H1, I want you to console.log meow. I'm going to see here that now every time that I click on the H1, I get a meow. Now, for me here, it wasn't too bad to connect jQuery and my page. Literally, all I had to do to connect jQuery with my project here was I had to paste in this one line of code at the bottom. But sometimes when you follow tutorials, they'll make you write this stuff here. Some are up closer to the top for some reason. And people like putting the thinking parts of their code for an HTML document up at the top. The unfortunate thing is, though, that when you do this, my script stops working. It breaks. And it breaks for a couple reasons. The first one here is it breaks because it doesn't have the page fully loaded yet. So what people will do is they'll end up wrapping their script, their whole script. They'll wrap it in a thing that looks like this. They'll say document, like on load, to only start running this stuff after jQuery sees that your document has loaded. Or the other thing that you can do is do this weird thing. And what I'll say about this is that this is a function that only runs after your document has loaded. It's unfortunately just a thing that we have to do if we want to put our script tag at the top and use jQuery. And so I'll have to take my code and I will just paste it in here and forget that I did that. Right? Tweeter, I think, takes you through that process. Right? But what I would suggest is pair program this and just get together as you're starting to work on it, make sure that jQuery is loaded up properly. What I should end up with now is that my page actually works properly. Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's a great question. Why can't we? You know, I don't have a good answer for that other than like personal preference. And people just really like keeping all of the JavaScript up at the top. Also because, so this is what I see of my HTML page right now because I'm the one who wrote this HTML page. In the future, you're going to be working on bigger projects where you don't actually manually write out all the HTML. It gets generated for you. Kind of like how you had the partials in EJS, right? But that stuff might get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, especially as you have more plugins and whatever. So the thing is, like, I might want all of my script tags to be inserted together in one place using a single partial instead of having two partials at the top and the bottom, right? So this way I get to put all my stuff up all in one place that one partial can cover. But if it was down in the bottom, then I'd need to like mess around a bit more. Right? Does that make sense? Right. Other than that, I think there's SEO purposes for it and all that too. Don't quote me on it. We'd have to Google that. But you know, like stuff like that. For right now, what it is like just a lot of tutorials that you cover are going to put it at the top. My personal preference is to put it at the bottom because it's more intuitive for me. But yeah, unfortunately, that's just what people have kind of tended to do. So I do need to have this thing around though now. If I was to take this out, like I said, this would stop working. So that will be in the notes that I'll send out to you. So let's see. I have a list of things that I wanted to cover, and I've covered almost all of them. But I'm just going to check real quick on here. So this is hot tip. This is what I work out of when I'm trying to construct my lectures. We've talked about the window, the navigator, and the document stuff. Cool? We good with that? From the first half of the lecture. We also talked a little bit about the DOM. I didn't use the word DOM until I got to the second half. But what we can do with JavaScript is mess around with the DOM live. And anytime you change the DOM, the page changes for you. We talked about events a little bit, specifically clicking events and submission events. Are there other kind of events? Absolutely. There's like a keyboard typing event. You know, there's all kinds of events like that. You'll just have to Google them. Right? Interesting events in JavaScript. I did not talk about the debugger. That's because I've just chosen it's not a thing I want to talk about. Google it or ask me during when there's extra time. And then on the jQuery side, what we've done is we've talked about why it exists, which was specifically to solve the problem of querying for things on the DOM in a nice way and playing around with the DOM in general. jQuery has ballooned over the years, so it's actually got more functionality now that you're going to learn tomorrow, right? But the base functionality is work with the DOM, right? If you want to interact with the DOM, jQuery's got a way to do it. Do you want to add stuff to the screen? Do you want to remove stuff from the screen? You can totally do that. Yo, Bobby. Sorry, man. Yeah. Right. It's specifically a library that's being added to your project. When people use the word framework, they mean a library that's gotten so big that it changes the way you think about your project. Usually, jQuery it's so powerful that when people start using it, they stop thinking of their project as a JavaScript project, and they think of it as a jQuery project. Right? For us, right now, that's what framework's going to mean, the mindset that the tool puts you in. Right? We've looked at playing around with jQuery a little bit, but we haven't specifically created things. So creating and deleting things are the last things that I want to show you for today's lecture, and we should be done by 12:15. So I created elements on the page in my first demo by going create element. In jQuery, I have some other options. One of the options that I have is to go $. Now, when I did $ and I wrote li like this, what does this line of code do? This gets me all of the li's. This makes me a new li. Right? jQuery just chose a new syntax for creation that looks similar so that you don't have to learn too much new stuff. Right? This one here makes me a new li, and I can save it. Const cat li equals, and I can save it like that. So that's how I'm going to create my new li now. When I want to set the stuff inside of it, I can go cat li dot, and I can change the stuff inside of it, such as HTML. I will not be using inner HTML when I'm working with a jQuery object. I will use HTML. And the syntax for working with it is slightly different. Again, it'll have to be something that you Google. How do I set the HTML with jQuery? Right? That's the thing that you'll Google, and you'll go into the jQuery docs. I will tell you right now, though, the things that I can add are a bunch of strings. So if I wanted to, I could add a string like this to say that that's what should be in the cat li. When I was doing my form like submission, I was appending my cat li to my cat ul, where my cat ul was done with query selector. So this here is going to have to change. $cat list. I'm going through and I'm going to change every single one of these bits. So this here is going to be li like that. This one here is going to be the same as what I had up here. And now the thing that I need to fix is, how do I do this append? Maybe I'll just leave append as it is right now like that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to refresh my cat page. Where are you at? Cats? Whoop. It didn't work yet. Cat name is not defined. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, because I shouldn't have pasted the stuff in like that. This was cat.name and cat.dimension. There you go. Whoop. This is working the same way as it was before, but I've written it with jQuery instead of vanilla JavaScript. Right? I want you to, when you get this code, take a look at the difference between them. The main thing is just going to be that anytime I was doing a query selector or a create element, that's slightly different now. Right? It's slightly shorter. I have this append. Here's one. What if I pre-append? Now maybe every time I write a cat, so banana, and banana is going to be 500, my cat shows up at the top. So there's an append, there's a prepend. Maybe look at what other options there are. Maybe there's a pend to middle. I don't know. Look it up. Do we want to get rid of cats? I don't personally, but we're going to have to. It'll be like set free. I don't know. This feels bad. So what we'll do is we're going to make each cat have a button that like removes the cat. Cat was the worst thing for me to pick, and now I feel really bad. So set free. Right now, cats are made and they have this button on them. The button doesn't do anything. I want the button to find the current LI element that I'm clicking inside of and delete it. That's what I want to do. Find my current LI element and delete it. This is going to be tough. I'm going to say that when we have one of these buttons on click, it should do a delete operation. I don't want to write this in like directly in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cat li and I'm going to append the delete button, free button, meaning I need to have a free button element, which is a button. I need to do this in both places where I create cats. So this one here and this one here. Notice that I'm repeating myself. So something that I might do is make a function so that it covers that. But what I'll want to say is that the free button, when you click it, it should free the kitten. I can go ahead and find out what free kitten is. So free kitten, free kitten. I'll make it a function for right now. I'll make it a function. It goes console.log hello. Cannot access. Whoops. Good game. I need to make the free kitten function way up at the top. And now each one of the people has like a little button. I just forgot to give it any text. So let me add some text to the button. This is free button dot inner HTML, or rather HTML. It says free. Adopt. I like that better. Adopt. So we're going to adopt the kitten. And when the kitten gets adopted, we want to not console log hello, but go and adopt the cat. So I have this free kitten. There's a concept called this that you've started working with. And this is going to be useful for me in jQuery. Heads up, I'm going to make a mistake. I know I'm going to make a mistake, but I'm going to need to just fiddle with it for a sec. Whoops, not that. Whoops, this. This. I want to see what the value of this is when I click it. And this is the window. We're going to go event, maybe. There's a couple different ways to solve this problem. I've got this jQuery event coming through. And what I'd like to do is take the target of the event, which is that button. So every time I click on adopt, I only get the one button that was clicked, not all of them. And what I want to do is I want to get the parent of the button. So if my thing looks like this at the moment, which is I have an li with a, I think I have a p tag, I have a button, and I have an image. At the moment, what I'm accessing is the button. So I want to access the parent to delete the whole thing. It would be cool if there was a function for me to get my parent. And there is. I can go to jQuery docs and say jQuery get parent. There's a parent function. So in my script, I can say, don't just, where'd you go? Don't just print out the event target, print out the parent of the event target. And now what I'm seeing is, no. Huh? Cool. I had to wrap it. What I was getting access to here was like an HTML like node that doesn't have the parent function in it. So I had to wrap it to become a jQuery thing. And only jQuery things have access to parent. And now when I do parent, what I have access to is the particular li element for that one that I tried to adopt. And the last thing that I want to do is I want to take that parent, so const the cat li. I want to take the cat li, and I want to maybe delete it. There might be a delete function, or it might be something different. I can try this out for now. Looks like that's not what it is. But I could go into jQuery and see how do you delete an element. And it turns out it's just remove. Okay. So the structure of my code doesn't actually end up changing. What I end up with is I can free cats, or adopt them, and I can add cats. Right. I think in the particular cat, like this dog cat, it's not one where I added the button. Where are you at? Where are you at? Form on submit. Free button. Yeah. Free button HTML. Because I wrote free kitten. There you go. Free kitten. And then I have to say free button dot click does free kitten. Cool. So now when I add dog or whatever, then they have that adopt button. Right. So at the end of the day, I've ended up with my cats that I can add and I can delete. Cool? I know we went a little bit over, but it's because I wanted to take some time with jQuery, because that's what you're really going to be working with a lot, right? The number one tip I have is use the documentation. Cool? Do you all have any questions? Do you feel like this lecture was helpful? Cool, cool, cool. Right. It is a lot. Yeah, it really is a lot. I want to say that if you take it easy at the start and play around a lot in the console, get comfortable there before you move into writing inside of the scripts. That's my personal tip. Right? Any one of the lines of code that they're asking you to add in the curriculum or in a tutorial that you're looking at, play around with that one line in isolation in the console. Right? Feel comfortable with vanilla JavaScript before you start trying to understand jQuery, because jQuery is just a level on top. Right? I believe in you, and we're here to help you out with it. Client-side JavaScript, you're going to be spending the rest of the boot camp mastering. Right? Cool? All right. I will be sending out notes immediately for the stuff that I did before, but I'll put together these particular notes and send them out to you as well. It'll just take me like an hour or so. Sound good? But you will have access to my 2 months ago's demo. Cool. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks. Oh, thanks. Yeah.